Wall Street Unplugged looks beyond the regular headlines heard on mainstream financial media to bring you unscripted interviews and breaking commentary direct from Wall Street right to you on Main Street.
What's going on there? It's November 6th. My friend Curzio, it's the Wall Street Unplugged podcast where I break down headlines and tell you what's really moving these markets. And I would say what's really moving these markets is President-elect Donald Trump wins in a landslide. I don't know if too many people expected that. Took control of the Senate, likely maintained control of the House. Very, very convincing win. It all came down to battleground states, and it's going to look like he's going to win every single one of them, which is crazy. Daniel, a lot going on today with the markets, a lot to get to. What are your initial thoughts on the election?
Hello, Frank. Hello, everybody. Not happy hump day, but happy Trump day, Frank. I have to admit, I haven't been this excited for politics since the last time this president won. And I have to say, I had a great commute into work today because, unfortunately, there was a backed up accident at one of the main intersections north of our office. So I had to take the highway around, no big deal, because, Frank, I was in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and I got to scan through all the channels, losing their Florida minds about how racist and sexist and terrible we are. Especially, did you hear Joy Reid at tell us, Floridians that we're right-wing, extremist, fascist, because Florida has a legit polling area and can count ballots, I guess, and they called the state for Trump. But anyway, we have everybody out there that's not happy and thinks the world is coming in and doing, and take a deep breath and just understand that we just dodged, no pun intended, because you're trying to kill the president-elect, dodged a bullet bigger than most people can understand, and it's going to make waves through the economy. That's what we're going to help you navigate. But yes, absolutely, all aboard the Trump train, my friend.
I was surprised at how much he won. I will say that all the polls, throw them in the garbage. You don't need any polls anymore because you have Polymarket and the betting sites will write. I was covering them. If you follow me on Twitter at Frank Curzio, I was going over how I think he had 70% about a week ago. Then 3 days before went down to 54, 55%. And then it got back up to 62%. But if you watched during the election, when nobody was calling. This is the first two and a half hours where we're still waiting. I mean, I was surprised because there was some places that didn't call Georgia and North Carolina right away, which it looked like they were, guarantees. Yeah. But when I looked at it, they had him up to 75, 80% when, Pennsylvania didn't get called to like 2 a.m. But I mean, they had him up tremendously when I went through every station. I was going through every single station. I thought CNN did a great job. I love what they did with graphics and stuff like that. Same with Fox. I went to MSNBC, NBC, and it was shocking. Like you just saw it. They knew they were going to lose at one time, and probably about 2.5 hours in. But it was craziness. I was very surprised. I was happy. I was very happy. I'm Republican, as you guys know. It doesn't mean that I shit on Democrats or anything because I don't. But I think the biggest winner here is going to be. You could say it's the Republicans, and we'll get into that in a second. Since they took control of the Senate, likely going to maintain control of the House. I don't think they're going to lose the House, so they're going to have control of every single thing, which could be dangerous sometimes. And I think the biggest winner here is the Democratic Party. I think the Democratic Party needs a major reset. I think a lot of them know. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are Democrats, and you always had the same issues. If it was climate change and tax the rich or more government, less business, fine. The back and forths and how we could compromise on that. Wigs on boys so they can play in women's sports. Gender and fucking DEI. Being taught to our children in schools, which has resulted in kids hating each other and sparking racism. When you're telling a younger generation, especially of young black kids that, you're owed something because of how terrible you've been treated in the past and stuff that we've moved on from, that we've learned from. I've seen this directly with my daughters. I had to pull them out of public school because there was people calling them racist. They didn't even know what it meant. People going into stores and stealing anything they want without any consequences, releasing convicted criminals that were in jail. unlimited spending on wars without having a plan, defund the police. This is not the Democratic agenda, right? I mean, and I think 80% is in that middle right there. This is not the Democratic agenda. And it was pushing further and further left. The biggest mistake that they made, I think, was not announcing Shapiro. I don't think it mattered because it looks like they're going to win. Did they call Wisconsin already? I think they called Wisconsin. Michigan, I don't think they called yet, but he's probably going to win Michigan. So I don't know how much it would have mattered, but yeah, just that far over to the left is insane. And I think they're going to look themselves in the mirror, just like after Obama won with the Republicans, and say, how do we reach out to these people? You know, they were making fun of Trump putting on a vest and riding in a garbage truck and going to McDonald's. That's what people love. I mean, that's what you want to see out of your president, right? Like, hey, this guy's just like everyone else. And they were actually making fun and poking fun of that. And then you had Kamala, who had the opportunity to go on Joe Rogan, which I thought was huge. 30 million views, right? 30 million. And when you look at Spotify and YouTube, 30, why wouldn't you go on there? Oh, he doesn't want to come to me and I don't want to go. 30 million, go there. And he's like, I just want to have a conversation with you, whatever it is, just like we did with Trump. You know, the writing was on the wall and you know, it was closer than I thought it would be, considering, you know, this is a candidate that really didn't deserve to be there. They could have picked so many other people, I thought. It was a candidate that they didn't even like themselves. But, you know, I think a big win is going to be for the Democratic Party. And I just hope that, you know, we work together. If you're looking look who's on his staff right now. I mean, JFK Jr. is lifelong Democrat. You know, Tulsi Gabbard. You're looking at Elon Musk and Joe Rogan talk about it. We used to be Democrats, right? And I think even say, you know, this gets a little crazy 3 years from now and you go way, way right, which I don't see happening, but you go way, way right. You're going to see Republicans join the Democrats and say, listen, we need to get back over again. So I think it was a huge win for the working people. A huge win. Again, just this whole DEI agenda and craziness. Remember, our democracy is run by, we hire people to represent the constituents, right? We're the ones that elect these people to you know, speak for us. And I don't know anyone, please, everything that I said, you know, wigs on boys, gender, DEI, releasing convicted criminals, right? I mean, stores, what do they call it again? I always forget the term. It's when they steal from stores.
Shrinkage.
Shrinkage. I love that term.
Good Seinfeld term.
Shrinkage, right? So, that they're moving their stores out of certain areas because they just can't stop it and there's no regulation around it. Defund the police. You don't want police? Are you kidding me? I know there's bad apples everywhere, but, you know, if you support these things, let me know, frankcurzioresearch.com. But it's, you know, the pushback too, when you see what Trump went through, Daniel, I think it really, really is incredible. I mean, you're talking about a guy that they went after him with the Justice Department, a lot of bullshit lawsuits, most of them bullshit, you know, calling him Hitler, going after his family, you know, the assassination. How do we have more information on the assassination? How do we have more information on that person, right? Just, you know, we don't have it. The mainstream media, you know, and I'm not going to criticize celebrities and things like that because people are like, well, look at all the celebrities that they brought up and all the actors and actresses. Don't, as Republicans, don't be quick to beat the crap out of them because these are people. No, I'm being serious here. Look, you're gonna vote.
It's still funny.
You know, you're gonna vote according to, you know, what's best for your family. And a lot of them could not say that they supported Trump or went out there. Otherwise, they wouldn't get a job. You know, when I look, I just hope that we go more to the center here. I hope that we're able to, and it sounds, again, everyone's saying, I hope we heal or whatever, but just the angriness behind it is crazy. And the hate behind it's crazy. I have so many Democratic friends. Some of them I don't talk to anymore because how crazy it's gotten. They're fucking angry and posting crazy stuff. You know, so hopefully it's not Republicans with, you know, they're just pounding their chest and bragging. Just say, hey, you know what? Okay, you know, let's start working together because we do have a lot of Democrats around him right now. And we'll see what happens. But just this is a win when I look at Trump where, man, I mean, this is a guy they beat the shit out of time and time again. And he got up and fight and got up and fight and got up and fight. He's 80 years old, gets up and fight. I mean, it's just, that's the American dream, right? That's what our company's about. I mean, you know, for us, it was bad 18 months ago for my company, right? And it's hard. You have to let go of really great people. You get up, you fight, you keep fucking going forward. And you know, we really turned the corner and things are really good here now, you know, and it's just, you know, constantly keep going forward, man. You're going to get bashed. You're going to get punched down and stuff like that. Keep moving forward. Just see what they did to this guy and keep moving forward. It really is cool. And man, it was a big convincing win. And It's surprising some, maybe others. I didn't think it was going to. I thought it was going to be a lot closer, I think, but it is remarkable. It is good. I think it's good for the country, and it's definitely good for the stock market. But and we're seeing that today in certain sectors. Not every sector. Everyone's talking about how the market's up tremendously. Not every sector, but I just thought this was really good. One last thing I'm going to say that I'm happy about. I'm happy that Soros and Bloomberg lost hundreds of millions of dollars pushing the shitty un-American DEI agenda. I love that they lost that much money. They put a ton of money in it. I don't get it. And also, when it comes to two things here, Arizona, Nevada is still counting. They still haven't reported results. If you guys need help, I know a couple of high schoolers that could help you manage your election day a little bit better, that could help you count. They could teach you the technology it's used. It's very easy to learn, but you know what? Shame on you. You were saying 3 days ago that, this is going to take a while. It should not take a while. You look at Florida, how quick it was. You look at some of these southern states, how quick it was. It could be so quick. It's such an easy process. If you show your ID, you fill it in. You could do it through bubbles. You could do it through touchscreen. It's a very easy process where you don't see machines breaking or craziness. And we saw that in Milwaukee and shit like that. It's such an easy process to get this right. It really is. The fact that you're still counting is such a joke. But what a big win. Really good. And it's going to be good for some sectors, but don't be so crazy. I'll talk about it in a minute. It's not going to be as great for stocks as you think. And I'll tell you why. But overall, I was very happy as a Republican that this happened. And hopefully I do the right thing and try to unite the country here.
Yeah, that's all well and good. It's not going to happen, Frank. But it is exciting because the hard part starts now. So what's exciting is when we look at companies and you have CEOs lay out a plan or a framework or a timeline, now we can hold him accountable. He's got a good group of his own celebrities, Elon Musk and all that kind of stuff, some politician around him, Trump being, and now he needs to implement that, get some serious policies going, take the conversation out to people. Has to be we were joking off camera, Frank, I don't know. Again, we got a lot of wild history and presidencies and such here, but no doubt they threw everything but the kitchen sink with him, used the government to weaponize. I mean, one of the greatest political comebacks absolutely ever. Exciting times. Yeah, it's not, you're always going to have your fringes, but good stuff. We can talk about markets and everything is rallying. So that's amazing. Not going to last, but you're right. I mean, everything is just.
Yeah, not everything. We'll cover it in a second, but I just want to mention one last note here. And I'm a character person. If you're arrogant, if you're an asshole, whatever, and that's you, that's fine. I'm okay. I always hate the people that, say one thing and think another, like just, when I have neighbors that are saying, "Oh my God, I love this about your house," and then you call, the freaking HOA behind. Like, I hate, just if you hate it, just tell me you hate it. That's fine. Don't tell me you like it and then go behind. I hate that shit.
Rich guy problems.
I hate that shit. I really do. And I have to say, character-wise, Kamala, I'm very disappointed in. She did not come out to greet all those great people at Howard University last night. This was before the election was called, right? And we knew it didn't look good. And they were waiting out there, and they didn't even tell them who was going to come out, who was going to speak. And I don't know how many people were there. It probably, it looked like there was over 1,000 people there. And they were outside for 6 hours. They busted their ass to support you. They love you. They're like, shareholders for your company, right? They're the most loyal followers. Come out and tell them, say, hey, you know what? We're still fighting. We're still counting votes. Don't give up, whatever. You still haven't come out. You still haven't even said anything yet. I don't think, as of now, we're doing this at 10:30. In the morning, I haven't seen her come out. I haven't seen her say anything. I mean,
I understand your position. Are you surprised, though? Are you genuinely shocked?
I am shocked.
Okay.
I am shocked. I'm genuinely shocked. Listen, it's okay to lose. It really is. I mean, listen, when you realize when you hit my age and you're really old, and I'm saying really old, over 50, because we probably have 6-year-olds going, fuck you, Frank.
Yeah.
But when you hit my age, you realize that losing is sometimes the greatest thing for you, because the only way you could achieve greatness, the only way you could push for is the mistakes that you're going to learn from losing and getting beat up. That builds you. That builds your character. That it shows you how to keep pushing forward. And that's life, right? And it's not this great fucking thing and everything's awesome and you have a beautiful wife or husband and you have beautiful kids and everything. You're gonna have fucked up times. I don't care who you are, right? And things weren't that good, and that's fine. That's okay. But just, coming out and just addressing them instead of having a campaign manager, the campaign chairman came out, 3-minute speech. 3-minute speech and said, okay. And everyone's looking like, what the fuck? You really just, again, you don't want to, you want to be gracious, right? And you want to be supportive. I saw that. I'm like, holy shit, man. I mean, these are the people that would die for you, who went out. They're standing there waiting for you to come out in DC to Howard University. And for you not to come out and address that, I was disappointed. I don't know if that's normal. I heard that Hillary didn't do the same because, when Trump beat her last time, and I don't know if that was the only comparison they were making. I don't know if it happened on the Republican side, but come on, man, come out and say, hey, you know what, going to continue to fight. And again, losing, there's nothing wrong with losing. I fucking hate losing. I hate it. I'm most competitive. I hate it. I've always hated it, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, when you lose, it's going to make you try even harder. You learn from those mistakes. And that's what I love about what we do, Daniel. Why? Because I wish I could tell you every one of our recommendations goes freaking higher all the time. It doesn't. And some of these, I have that conviction. I know people are putting their hard-earned money into some of these stocks and it doesn't work out. I'm like, shit, what the fuck did we get wrong? And just looking at it and analyzing the mistakes more, you want to go through and say, okay, what did we get wrong here? Why do we get this wrong? And you learn more. But for her not to come out, that's really disappointing. I mean, that's about you. That's about your base. Come out and just acknowledge and say, hey, you know what? We're going to come out tomorrow, but hey, keep fighting. I love you guys or whatever. And that's cool. But for you to do that, I think, not that it matters. I don't think she'll ever run again or whatever, but I think she's going to lose just a lot of supporters. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. I was surprised that happened.
I'm telling you, everybody listening, this is why we balance each other out. I'm telling you, Frank is a genuine, good-hearted person. I am not that good-hearted, genuinely a person, and that's why we balance it out. Programming note, Frank at 10:22 on briefing. VP Kamala Harris will soon call President Trump to concede election. That was at 10:22. Mm-hmm. Don't know if it's happened yet, but breaking right here on Wall Street Unplugged.
Yeah. And usually you do that right away, right? Usually that happens right away.
No, Frank, you got to throw out the old playbook.
I don't think Trump did it, stolen election.
Like you say with analyzing markets going forward from COVID, you got to throw out the past. Move ahead. Let's talk about the markets. We need a whistle. I need a button to push a whistle and a Trump train whistle. That's what
That's
what I want for Christmas.
Soundboards and everything. I just want to hit it this way. We have him going China. And yeah, kind of. I remember. So we did it with Kramer. So he first started the show. I was there before right before the show. And I remember, looking at different buttons that we could, put in there. And now he has the buy and sell it, all that stuff and everything. It was just, I would love to have that and get a soundboard, really build this studio up. And that's what we're going to do now since, we're doing well. We're really going to build this up and getting lots of subscribers thanks to you guys and stuff like that. Again, we do have a bias a little bit, when it comes to politics and stuff like that.
Everybody does. We're honest about it.
Yeah. When it comes to stocks, though, listen, what we do is 100% we want to make you money. 100%. That's it. That's the only way you're going to listen to us, right? If we're not honest with you, we're going to call people out. I don't give a shit who it is. If I think it's someone's dishonest, even if it's someone that I know, so whatever, we have no agenda when it comes to that because it's, we want to get it right. A lot of these stocks I recommend and Daniel I recommend, we'll own, right? We'll own after we recommend, of course. But that's the base of this podcast to really get it right. And when we look at stocks here, we're talking about the market's roaring higher and everything doing great. Let's talk about it because there's a lot of shit going on right here, guys. And I don't know if this excitement is as warranted as it should be. You're not going to hear that a lot. Everyone's like, oh, the market's going up. Let's talk about it, Dan. So we got a huge win for health wellness. We have RFK Jr. He's going to be holding big pharma, major food companies accountable. I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen just in terms of that I didn't know about, and maybe I'm an idiot and didn't know about this when they were showing, did you see when they were showing Fruit Loops of how the preservatives and how colorful they are here compared to like in Europe? And how they just
I always take that with a grain of salt because I always get nervous if it's fake. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, the side-by-side comparisons. And it's hard to believe that you can put that much more stuff here versus Europe.
And just the COVID things like big pharma, look, these companies, they need to make money, the publicly traded companies, but it shouldn't be at the expense of hurting people. And I think you're going to see a lot of changes. I mean, I don't think there's people that needed the booster. I don't think the booster helped that out. I think that's all a money grab, right? And now that we know, we can say, well, we look back. Okay, well, it's one booster, two, but they're still trying to give you boosters today. Why? Why are they still trying to do that? So, that's going to be interesting to see how that industry plays out. The market is up. I mean, I don't know if you have it right there, Daniel, but the market is up, pretty sharply. And
everything's up.
I don't know.
2%.
If
the S&P's up 2%, and that's the worst performing sector.
And I know small caps are through the roof, and they should be. Small caps have underperformed. You're going to have an environment where it's pro-business. You're going to see more mergers and acquisitions, which hopefully, listen, there's some companies that shouldn't be allowed. It's almost like DeAndre Hopkins. He should not be allowed to go to Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, give me a freaking break. How does that happen, right? So there's certain companies that shouldn't be able to merge. But you can't say no before anything. Like Microsoft buying Activision. What are you kidding me? I mean, there's a billion freaking gaming companies. They're saying no to every single deal. This provides a much better environment. I think it's going to promote even more competition. Believe it or not, people say, well, sometimes it doesn't. I think it does. I mean, putting some airlines out of business when they want to merge, whether it's JetBlue or Spirit Airlines and stuff like that, and saying, oh, well, it's going to hurt competition, when now you might be putting them out of business. It's just certain things that just don't make sense to me of why they're not going through the regulatory and deal structure. So we're going to see that. But if he's serious, and I hope he is, but I don't know if this is going to happen, Daniel, you have Elon Musk, who's going to really look at a lot of the spending and see where we can cut spending because our deficits are out of control. Guys, Trump wants to lower taxes, and it's not so much where, oh my God, there's tons of revenue that comes in from taxes. It's just the government spending every place else is insane. There's no accountability, right? There's no accountability. We gave how much money to Intel for chips? Give it to fucking Taiwan Semiconductor. This way they can come here. We don't have to worry about it. You lower your geopolitical risk, right? So that's such a big deal because they're the largest makers of chips and make them for Apple, make them for all the big companies in the world. Especially NVIDIA, and you have China that's looking to take them over. So how do we get that, how to resolve that? Maybe if they have more plants here, tens of thousands of new jobs, but you gave it to Intel, who's horrible. But when I look at the markets, guys, I wouldn't be so optimistic because in order for you to lower deficits, you got to have strong growth. And if you have strong growth, it's probably going to be led by inflation, which is kind of high right now and seems like it's going a little bit higher, not lower. If you do that, you really have to see a pullback in spending. And if you're pulling back spending, you're going to see it hurt the economy in certain sectors. So this isn't like crazy bullish for everything. Oh my God. If you're really going to focus, and we need to focus on deficits now, right away, and lowering them, it's going to result in less spending in a lot of sectors, and it's going to require professionals, guys like Daniel and myself, which we are. I've been doing this for a long time. Dan's been doing this for a long time, looking through which names are going to benefit and which names are not, because it used to be the whole sector, all solar stocks are going to benefit, and they're all getting crushed today. I don't know if you saw solar's getting annihilated right now. I want to look at some solar because not everyone is shit. Not everyone's dog shit. A lot of them are getting free money, but some of them are really, really good companies, and they're falling along with the entire sector. That's why I want to look a little bit. So when I look at what's coming down the pipeline over the next, say, 12 months into 2025, I wouldn't be so optimistic. I could picture a market that's not going to be higher next year, but you're going to see some sectors thrive and a lot of sectors not thrive, and different stocks within sectors do well and others not do well. We're seeing that separation in a lot of industries. We're seeing it in healthcare. Those who are into the weight loss drugs are doing much better than everybody else. We're seeing in the chip sector, those who have exposure to AI, others are getting freaking nailed right now that aren't, that said they were in AI. Same with software companies as well. So you're going to see this separation, and you really need to focus on individual companies, not necessarily sectors. And that's what's going to be 2025, where I don't care where the market goes. We want to provide great ideas for you that aren't benefiting, or that will benefit, aren't benefiting now, but are going to benefit tremendously from a lot of the policies that are going to come down the pipeline, especially relatively quick, now that they could pass through a lot of the tax stuff right away, especially it looks like they're going to win the House as well. Yeah.
And if they do that, I mean, like you said, you'll see some nervousness and knee-jerk reactions because typically markets don't like any one party full rule. We'll see how that plays out. Well, so let's look at some sectors. You got the banks. In theory, the banks should do well. And I want to talk about some comments. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Chubb Insurance, Chubb Limited, and it's been in CRA, and it's been a good winner for us. But Frank, when I was going through their conference call, when I think out loud about financials and stuff, Chubb and other insurance companies, anybody that holds a lot of cash has benefited from higher rates because your investment income is going through the roof and you don't have to do anything. You can just park it in short-term T-bills. That's why Berkshire with Warren Buffett have over $300 billion in cash. Did you hear me, Frank? I said $300 billion in cash. Gosh. Anyway, on Chubb's insurance call, the CEO talked about how Chubb doesn't believe that the Fed will lower rates as quickly as many anticipate. And so they're benefiting from that investment income, and they think that that's going to continue. I say all that because you see these banks rally, and unless rates fall off a cliff, how is it not good? I mean, if you just have this lackluster, kind of a slower, sloshing movie economy, that's great for big banks because they're still earning net interest income. They're still not going to pay you really anything until they have to, until you take your deposits and go somewhere else. And so that's still beneficial. And then you got commodities, Frank. We like that. If you have this reshoring, onshoring, steel stocks are rallying, coal stocks are rallying. A lot of that is because he's going to kill the Green New Deal. He's not going to put the boot on the neck of American energy or anything. I know everybody can say, well, we're at record prices though, Mr. Creech. What about that? We're at record drilling prices, record production because of a lot of the policies that were in place. But you're right. It's not just a melt up on everything, but definitely banks, commodities and such are going higher. And you're right on the solar. I mean, it's good to see those knee-jerk reactions because there will be opportunities, but I wouldn't be trying to catch a bottom here on the solar
And
side.
I think that the stock market moving higher is kind of a knee-jerk reaction too.
Yeah,
I don't think we should be sharply. I think small caps deserve it because they've been underperforming so much. But let me tell you something about the banks. This is what I'm saying about separation. I think the large banks, I would be taking profits on large banks. We've been pro banks for a while, telling you to buy them. Interest rates are going higher, and great. JP Morgan's just unbelievable, right? The best bank, it just continues to go higher and higher. And they're rocking and rolling today. But I have to say, instead of the big banks, I will look at the investment banks because now what do you have? With the banks, you're going to have rates relatively, even if they're at 3.5%, 4%, they're higher right now. The 10 years at 4.46, right? And it's up. It's going higher along with the stock market. You usually see that opposite, right? That means bonds are falling, bond prices. But the yields are 10 years up. And when I look at banks in terms of being in a sweet spot where when interest rates are zero, it was, hey, we have all these fees, investment banking, the market's chugging along and stuff like that. That's great. And now, after that, you saw interest rates spike up very, very high, where you didn't see in 2022 a lot of deals going on. And now that they're pulling back, you're seeing now you have both things working for you. You have investment banking fees working for you, and you still have rates relatively high. So you're earning nice money on your net interest income, right? When you have rates, right? The money you borrow from compared to what you lend out to. But the investment banks of what they're going to see under this administration is, you're going to see lots of deals. And they make a fortune on these deals. And basically the margin on these deals are incredible because they're sitting in a chair and saying, hey, we know all these people and you want to merge. Okay, fine. We can get all these investors and raise this money for you. And they sit in the middle and they collect fees, and they collect fees so many times on this. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's going on the road show. It's consulting and services. And then it gets to, okay, we're taking a piece of it and we could take whatever, 3%, 5%, 7% sometimes they could take it to float. Usually with these deals, if they're really good, they say, hey, you're looking to raise money of $10 billion. And sometimes they're able to raise even more money sometimes in terms of secondary offerings or bond offerings or things like that. So the fees that these guys are going to generate, it's the reason why Goldman Sachs, where's Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley? I guarantee they're up a lot more than the overall banks, right? So Goldman Sachs
up
13% and Morgan
Stanley's up 10.
Right? 10. And what's JP
Morgan's
Morgan?
up 10.
JP Morgan's up 10%? Wow.
Yeah, but they're the best bankster in the world.
Yeah.
6.5 for Bank of America. Wells Fargo's up 11. Yeah,
so I don't think this is. I would be.
But it's one day. I mean,
I would be taking profits on some of the large banks, but the investment banks, I think you're going to see. It's a very good environment for them. That's going to take time. You can talk about a couple quarters in, right? So it's already pricing that in the future. That's what the markets do, when it comes to this. But it is interesting just to see, some of these reactions in terms of what sectors are doing well. Solar's getting crushed.
Yeah, quickly on solar. Sorry, but In-Phase Energy is down 18% and Solar Technologies is down 20%. Those are both at 52-week lows.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at this.
Don't catch a falling knife.
Yeah, it's craziness. It really is. It really is craziness in that sector. So that I'm looking at. So. And I'll show you that right here if you guys are watching on YouTube and stuff. Just some of the solar stocks are really getting hammered. But if you want to get into a sector that is on fire, is crypto. Crypto, 74,000 right now.
Ooh.
And climbing probably. Let me see. It was a 75,000. It's between 73, 75. And holy cow. I mean, when I look at crypto and where you're going here, it is pretty exciting. It really is pretty exciting. So I'm trying to bring up some things
to
here
the moon, Frank.
It's going to the moon, hodl, and all this stuff. But let me see if I can bring up a couple of charts here and just, again, a lot going on here. So I want to just try to show you guys. And it's funny because I usually have a crypto tab. There's a crypto tab. We're at 74.5 right now at Bitcoin. Ethereum's up 9%. But I had my issue yesterday for crypto intelligence, and I didn't recommend anything. I said, guys, just sit tight for now because it is the election, and although Kamala has said that she's pro crypto all of a sudden, I said a Trump win, and you could see a lot of these names in our portfolio, which are really great names outside of Bitcoin. These are like some of the largest and best crypto companies, not the shitty, not meme stocks, not Trump's coin or anything, but these are great names that are down 70, 80%. I said you could see a 20, 25% pop on a Trump win, and a lot of them in our portfolio are up that. They're really like taking off right now, which is great. And I think that's going to continue because now you're going to see new technologies get developed. In that newsletter, I said, look, it's going to be so much better for a Trump win compared to Kamala because, you're going to see a pro-crypto regime put in place, and it's going to be through Congress, going to be the SEC. There's rumors that Hester Pierce, whose crypto mom, could become the head of the SEC. I hope so. If guys, you don't remember, go back, look at it, go on YouTube. It's an hour-long podcast, but the interview you could also see, and we stripped out on YouTube where it's 18, 20 minutes. I interviewed her, and she is awesome. And I interviewed her in June 2021. She had no freaking clue what Gensler and Warren were planning to do to the industry. She had no clue. She was just optimistic about it, and she is really great. It was an awesome interview, and I like her a lot. I respect her a lot. She's been pro-crypto for at least 5-6 years. She knows the industry, and she's not going to let everything slide because it's still a lot of bullshit companies in this industry. But man, if you want to talk about the new age of technology and innovation, I've dug so deep in this. I had to read shit 2, 3, 4 times in my research over the past 5-6 years. I've been covering this industry. I've made a lot of money in this industry. It's fascinating to see how disruptive these guys will be to our banking system, to the world banking system, financial system of these guys just charging stupid freaking fees, even wires and stuff like that as we're finishing our capital raise. Just everything is a fee. Everything's a fee, and it shouldn't be a fee. And when you're looking at the technologies that could disrupt the financial industry and why they attack this, and people don't realize this, but in 2023 January, you guys know I mentioned how Bank of America just said, hey, we can't do business with Curzio Research anymore because they thought we were a crypto company, even though we have no revenue coming in from crypto, right? No revenue coming in from crypto. And they sent letters, which I have, and I've got copies of them, to all the major banks threatening them, saying, if you do business with crypto companies, we're going to come after you. You better not do business with them, so they illegally shut down Silvergate and Signature, two of the largest crypto banks. They really went after the industry. They targeted, Coinbase. They targeted Ripple. A lot of these names. Remember, Coinbase went through the whole regulatory process to go public through the SEC, and you went after them so much so that the SEC had to reverse and told the SEC, "Listen, guys, you need to fucking calm down. Okay, you need due process if you're going after these guys. Okay, you can't use your own judges and everything and just assume and throw fees and find these freaking guys without even going through the whole due process." So it was intentional. There was a lot of money behind it, and I know she didn't see it coming, but she's one of the 5 commissioners, and she's pro-crypto. I hope she gets elected. I think she's fantastic. But again, there's a lot more than just crypto for the SEC. But man, I am so happy. I don't know if you saw, did you see the interview on CNBC with Novogratz?
I did, yeah. He did okay.
He was ecstatic. He was happy. He was like, this is great news. This is awesome for us when,
I wouldn't go that far. I could tell he was sad. He was crying on the inside.
I didn't see it. He was not happy about Trump. He's a Kamala supporter, but he was very happy what he sees the industry going in terms of being pro-crypto and banks being able to take custody, which is huge, of crypto. That's a name that makes a lot of sense right now. They're going to probably go immediately to the NASDAQ. I didn't understand why. I get it. You have your ties to Republican Party or Democratic Party, and he's a Democratic supporter. Kamala, we only have a track record of what she did. Okay, Trump didn't like crypto and he flip-flopped as well, but he didn't go after these companies like this administration did. And for her to say, oh, well, we're not going to do that's really scary. It's really, really scary just to trust her word on it when they trusted her word last time and she went back on it. So, yeah, he was ecstatic. And Galaxy Digital, he was talking about, if you see the interview, I thought it's overly positive, where he's like, this is great. Now we're going to come up with, a lot of people who are pro-crypto and try to regulate this thing. And that's going to be great for his business, Galaxy Digital. I think they go right to the NASDAQ. I think that's a screaming buy right now today. I don't know how much that's up, Danny. You could take a look. But I know
it's up 15%. It's up a lot.
Coinbase is up 16%, I think, 15, 16. Robinhood's up a lot. MicroStrategy's up a lot. A lot of these names are up, which are doing well. But I'm ecstatic because, and most for my shareholders, since this is going to accelerate security tokens, which is fractional ownership of assets, which is in the hundreds of trillions when you're including bonds and real estate and all this stuff. There's an idea that just makes so much sense that I'm so surprised, and I apologize. I thought this would happen a lot faster. I love that people look at us as an innovative company. We have a token structure and stuff like that. Hasn't been a lot of liquidity, but you're looking at our token trading on the T0 platform, and T0 one of the first companies in the world to get their special broker-dealer license, which means they could take custody of crypto. They could operate basically like a Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley now, right? Which is great. And you're going to see liquidity on that platform. But I'm very happy for my shareholders that this happened, because I think it's going to accelerate this process. And this is an amazing process. It's a technology that everyone wants. People want to own these assets. You could sell off a piece. It's great for the people who own these assets. They're going to be like semi-publicly traded, which is going to put a higher valuation and 3 times sales, probably in between 3 times earnings and a 22 times earnings. Maybe they trade 7, 8, 9, 10 earnings. So 10 times earnings, it just makes sense from every perspective. It's why BlackRock's going all in on this industry. And I'm very happy. And I think it's going to result in a lot of liquidity for our token. It's going to be based on how our business does, of course, because it's going to trade similar to a stock. And things are pretty good right now. So that's very, very excited to see that we are going to get a regulatory structure, get a lot of these bad players out of the market, and really focus on these amazing technologies that I've been studying and going over and reading 4 or 5 times to understand them for 7, 8 years, and really going over that in the newsletter too. I think our crypto newsletter, honestly, Dan, out of all of our newsletters, small cap and everything, I think we're going to see the biggest gains from that newsletter in that portfolio. We have a lot of great names in that portfolio that have pulled back, and I think they're going to rocket a lot higher over the next year, 2 years, next 5 years. And I'm very happy where that portfolio is. So, and I'm happy for those subscribers. They're going to start generating a lot of money in that portfolio. So I think they'll be fine.
Yep, getting a big bounce. So, and one thing to think of from a macro term is, we need this regulation. This is not going to happen overnight. So to go back to my other analogies, when a company or something we're analyzing or talking about is building a factory or getting a project done, you have to keep them accountable. But nothing moves up in a straight line. When you see crypto pulling back and you think, well, what's going on? If crypto mom doesn't get the SEC chair or whoever, this is going to unfold over a long time. So think of it in the terms of flowing down the river and such. But, this gives you a green light to buy on pullbacks in specific areas. Crypto is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and we talked about some of the things that are doing well. Obviously, small caps are doing very, very well, outperforming everything up 4 or 5%. The sector, which is great. A lot of our names are within small caps too, with Curzio Venture Opportunity newsletter are up a ton. We also have small names in our AI newsletter, which, these are great names. Most people never heard of some of the names that are in there. And these are names that aren't saying that they're going to benefit. They've had AI incorporated in their business for the past few years, and they're seeing the benefits now already over the past year. And we're seeing huge jumps in a lot of those names, which is great because that's what we do this for, right? To help people make money. But not everything's doing good, Daniel. Not everything. We talked about Sol, that's fine. But Europe is selling off, China selling off, gold's down 3%. Makes sense right now because, you want deficits to skyrocket. That's a beneficiary of gold, right? Well, we want gold because I don't see Elon Musk being able to fix this problem as quick as everybody believes. And I don't know if it's fixable. I think, you could definitely help out. If you look at the expenses and everything going on, the amount of money we spend, definitely they could be cut.
Spending, no problem.
But holy shit, I mean, just the interest that's piling up on this, and now the interest rates are high. It's just, you're paying $1 trillion in interest. How do you cut all this shit? It's going to be very difficult. You want to try the easiest ways to grow our way out of it. But then if you're growing it, it has to come with inflation. But gold is down. I think regardless of gold, I think you're going to see kind of what we see in energy stocks, where energy has pulled back price-wise, but a lot of stocks are raising their dividend. They're doing great. They have different models. They're able to shut things off right away. They have great cost controls. They used to get annihilated when oil pulled back. And this big cycle of some of these companies going bankrupt and getting wiped out over the past 30, 40 years. And then starting back up some of these names when things were great and oil prices went higher. Now they're just efficient companies. And you see that from Exxon and Chevron, who are killing it right now.
Yep.
But I think you could buy gold stocks here, regardless if prices come down. They're going to be printing money for the producers, also on the royalties. We'll get into more details on which names will benefit the most in our WSU Unplugged Premium podcast. And I got some positive news on that later on. But, when it comes to gold stocks, I think they're a great buy. I think gold price is going to pull back. If you're seeing a pullback in gold stocks that have already been down tremendously and haven't participated in this rally, I think now's the time. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but because gold's going down. We're going to see the same thing I think we saw with oil, even though oil is pulled back. And oil's another thing, Daniel. I mean, you would think, wow, he's going to release, right? He's going to unleash oil and massive more production than what we're seeing right now. And I get that, right? Because you flood the markets with energy. Energy is a major cost, of course, every business, of course, everyone. It's something that we all use, and lowering those costs are definitely going to help out tremendously and help grow our economy. But it's not necessarily great for gold stocks, right? So that's why we saw gold stocks, I really do well up to like the last, 6 or 9 months when oil prices went a lot higher because, Democrats are shutting a lot of stuff off. going into the election, they started releasing a lot of the oil, but we got to be selective, I think, with oil stocks. You are a big fan of oil stocks. What do you think now? Is it a positive or a negative? It's definitely a positive, I think, when you have Democrats in office, when some of them are against fracking, even though they changed lately, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be good, because if you're flooding the markets with supply, it usually doesn't mean that's great for the equity stocks, but yet there are some names I'm sure that would do good.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll have to reevaluate some of them. I like the action. Again, today we kind of thrown everything around, but it's going to be a stock pickers sector, of course. And if you look at some of our favorites, Frank, I mean, does it shock you that TPL is up 7% today? Texas Pacific Land
What's
Corp.
the price at? Where is it?
$13.38.
$1,338. My mom has that. How cost
And that just split a little while ago.
Our cost basis is 7. What
Yeah.
the fuck? Good for you, Dad. Way to go, buddy. Seriously, way to go. Way to go. Thank you. This way I don't have to take all my money and take care of Mom.
That's right.
She's taken care of. Thank you for that stock, right? So, which is great.
But to your point, they're much more, they have a lot more financial religion. They can, going through natural gas, I'm skipping around between oil and natural gas, I understand, but going through EQT and some of the producers that we hold in CRA, they're able to turn off and turn on production very well. They're very market sensitive. There's still wars going on. We'll see how that develops or, escalates or de-escalates now that Trump is president-elect. But I'm not ready to give up on oil, because now that you have the macro picture, and I'm not just trying to justify my stuff here, because if we follow our stops and if we hit our stops, we're going to move. But the big thing here is Trump might be negative for the price of oil in the short term. But again, these companies are in great financial shape, as you talked about. And the other side of that, with Trump policies, you're not going to have the push away from fossil fuels like you've had in the past. Therefore, we're going to have an economic slowdown and rise over time. That's all fine. But we're not that far out of balance with supply and demand from a production and demand standpoint. The others, in a consumption standpoint, the other thing there is, why are coal stocks rallying right now? Well, it's not that he's going to throw away and we're not going to have dirty air and dirty water and all that kind of stuff, but he's going to take a more sensible approach to regulation. And that's going to be good for companies overall. And they can diversify. They can go with the flow. These guys meaning the CEOs of the big corporations, the guys that you want to invest in that we hold, they've been through different regimes. They've been through different cycles. So don't think that this time is different in the sense that it's different from ever. But no, do not get rid of all your energy stocks just because Trump's going to be bad for the price of oil in the short term.
And when people, I hate saying people don't realize, maybe some of you realize, the people in the oil industry realize, not oil and gas stocks are the same, right? There's so many, they have upstream, you have midstream, you have downstream, you have refiners, right? And stuff like that. And the point I'm trying to make here is right now you're seeing Exxon, and I have this chart up, is up 2% right now. And I think Chevron's up 3% right now. But look what Halliburton is. Halliburton's up 7%, almost 7%. And the reason why is because when you're increasing drilling, that means the services companies are really, and there's great services companies out there. We have one in our portfolio that's doing great for us in small cap portfolio. And you're going to see more drilling, right? So more drilling means more services for these guys, and especially with Halliburton, because I think Halliburton, I don't know how much international business they have. It's not like a Schlumberger. Schlumberger has a lot of it, an international business. That's up 6% as well. But, when you're looking at these services companies that provide all the products, drilling products, everything for them, they're going to see business boom if they're drilling more. So, and they're going to drill more. And hopefully if prices stay where they are, plus you have this massive demand still that's not even close to being met when it comes to AI, which, everyone's talking about nuclear, and I get it and I understand. And we've had nuclear stocks, and I've been on this train, and I'm so happy people email me and say they bought UEC like 4 or 5 years ago and they're up tremendously in these stocks, and Encore, good for you. Good. I love it. I'm sorry it took that long, but great. But natural gas is going to fill that, right? And maybe coal might fill that a little bit. So, people hate coal as much as they do, but man, we have a coal name in our portfolio that's actually doing pretty good as well. So, and coal is just like, coal's so funny, Daniel, right? Because it's almost like being a Trump supporter like 4 years ago. Like if you wore a MAGA hat, you get the shit kicked out of you, right? It's like you couldn't tell anyone that you wanted to vote. Same with coal companies. These coal companies are printing freaking money right now. They're printing money. So much so the buybacks. I mean, we're talking about buybacks where they buy back 5%, some of them buy back 25% of their float, along with dividends. I mean, just the amount of money that they're giving the shareholders, because they can't really announce and be, hey, look at us, we're great, right? Because nobody wants to hear coal companies are doing great, because you think, okay, the environment's horrible. But when you shut off all coal, the ones that are still remaining are doing very well. They've been doing very well. And now, who knows? It's not like Cole's making a comeback, but these names are definitely, pro-Trump friendly compared to, the past regime. But yeah, Halliburton is another good name. And if you're looking at services, those are going to outperform. Just like I said, when you look at investment banks, I think investment banks do much better than regular banks, even though some of them have investment banking services, but pretty much operate as more as a bank. Same here. Services in oil industry, I think, are going to outperform just the bigger producers and stuff.
Yeah, quickly on, you can be lazy like me and just do some screens on who imports a lot of their products. Yeti. You have any Yetis, Frank? I have one I drink coffee out of every morning. But they're down about 8% today, obviously bucking the market trend. Why? Because they import a lot of their products, manufacturing from China, supplies and such. So look at that re-onshoring trade. I wouldn't sell it here, but just something to understand why not everything is participating. But across the board, we are a sea of green, Frank.
I would find a bunch of names. I mean, Yeti is down. You're going to see some names down to tariffs. I'm going to tell you, I think most people don't understand tariffs. We did a great job with our file when the markets really got hit pretty hard. I wrote like a 10-page report saying, listen, if you're selling stocks because of this, and it was literally, I remember looking on Google searches, it was like 7, 8, 9 million that, just talking about, Trump, and this is, back in, 2018 or whatever it was. And the markets pulled back significantly. I said, stop worrying about it. It's a non-event. It's not a big deal. And you say, well, tariffs are all this shit. Listen to me. It's a tool. Okay. It is a tool. And I'm not saying this because, listen, Trump won. I'm not saying it because it's political. I'm saying it is a tool. It's not going to make sense. It's not in our best interest if we do some of this shit, right? If we really have huge tariffs on goods that are coming in where it's going to be much more expensive to produce. But Kyle Bass went on TV today and he even said it. He goes, just the threat of NATO when he said, I'm going to, dissolve NATO. And when he said that, I think there's a law, whatever, written in place where every one of these countries in NATO have to, spend 2% of their GDP on defense or whatever. And nobody was doing that. I think it was only like 2 or 3 countries. And as soon as Trump got elected and said, we're going to shut it down, it was like, whatever he said, like 15 or whatever, said, holy shit. It's the same with tariffs, okay? And a lot of you don't believe this. Take the politics out of it. I'm talking about stocks. A lot of these names are going to be buys that are down 10, 15% because you think, oh my God, it's going to cut into their business. Right now, we are at, when it comes to deal making, I don't know if the odds could be more in our favor dealing with China than they are right now. China is a shit show, but yet we need them for a lot of stuff. And the deals that we're going to be able to make with them by pushing that agenda of, hey, we could fuck you even more by increasing tariffs and destroy you. If we really work with China and China's like, hey, okay, this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to lower our tariffs or whatever. If you really work with a country like China, holy cow. I mean, now you're seeing a big global boom. And I think that's what everybody wants. So if you're seeing stocks pull back significantly, those are the names I'm going to be looking at right after I get off this podcast. A lot of those names I'm going to buy, just like when the market sold off and a lot of names sold off with tariffs. I said ignore it. The market rocketed higher, hit new highs, and we did very, very, very well. And nobody wants to hear that shit. Oh, just ignore it. Nobody wants to hear it. It's a better story. Remember, use the stories to your advantage. It's a big story right now. It's moving a lot of those stocks. Use that to your advantage because they're going to get unfairly punished. They're not going to suddenly... But tomorrow, these tariffs are going to be massive, and they're just going to shut them off and be like, holy shit, we got to worry about it. I'm telling you, it's not in the best interest of our nation to do that, but it is in the best interest. It's having the biggest, most powerful military in the world. When we had it, we didn't need to use it when Trump was president because everyone was scared shit of you, right? So it's not that you're building this up like, oh my God, we're going to go to war. It's the threat, and that's what always keeps the peace is the threat. Okay, the threat of a cop beating the living shit out of you because you spit in his face, you would never do that. And today, you could do that, and they can't really do anything to you. Okay, so it was always like, holy shit, I don't want to do this because this could happen. You never wanted to go into a store and just steal things. Now they don't even run out. They walk out because they know that could happen, right? So the consequences with China and a lot of these countries, for you to think that, oh my God, we're going to slap tariffs on, it's going to be crazy. We were dead right last time, and I'm telling you this about the market. Throw the politics out. Start looking at the names that are down the most because of tariffs, because it's not going to materialize for a lot of these names, and they're going to be very, very strong buys. Not only that, it's priced in. They see it coming, and if they see it coming, they could adjust. They could have operations, and move to different areas, different geographies where there's not tariffs. As long as you see the risks, now that these things are pulling back and they see that maybe as a risk, let's see what happens. But I just think that pull off in a lot of the names where you're concerned about tariffs is overblown. It's not going to be bad. It doesn't make sense for us. And I think that's a great place to make money. It's about making money. Okay. You could bitch about saying, oh, Donald Trump's going to have the biggest tariffs ever. It's going to destroy the global markets and all this shit. Listen, I want to make money for you. That's where I'm looking. That's where I'm putting my money. So if you want to follow me, follow me. We were dead right last time. People made a lot of money by ignoring all the bullshit and all the news and everything going out there. And I think they're going to make a lot of money in that area as well.
Very nice. Well said. Look for the tariff pullback.
Yeah. And there's, hey, I'm not done. I'm going to keep going here. First of all, Tesla's up 12%, right? Which kind of makes sense. I mean, that's up a lot. I think that stock's a little bit expensive. That's a name that we traded and did very, very well in our trading portfolio, which is attached to Wall Street Unplugged Premium. But also Geo Group. Most of you are not familiar with Geo Group. Geo is up 34%. You know what they do? One of the biggest owners of prisons. And Trump, I don't know if it was Trump or anybody logically, we're not going to release criminals, especially the very next day when they're caught doing something. And it's a felony. So keeping them in those jails longer are going to be good for this company. And I don't know if there's a big short position here. This stock traded between 20 and 8. I don't know when it was 8. Let me see. It was down at $12 a couple months ago, September, and now it's popping and it is at 20 and it's up 34%. I'm not saying to buy it. I just think it's funny with those plays. You look at marijuana where it was supposed to be improved in Florida. Daniel, what the fuck? Daniel, the lobby dollars you spent to get that approved. What the hell? What went wrong? What went wrong? You killed us with that.
That's how rumors get started. I have no lobbying dollars in there. I was actually surprised it didn't get passed, but it did. So yeah, pot stocks, Tilray, those are falling today. Those are always just an election trade. You buy them before the election, you sell them beforehand because they're just silly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I need the name of your guy now. Shit. So killed me with that. But
all I wanted was for heaven forbid if you get caught, you don't go to jail. I don't care. The people were talking about smoking in public and all that kind of crap. I'm not that kind of guy, but yeah, if you have some in your car, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. DeSantis was very strong against that. Very strong against that. So
got his way.
And yeah, I didn't need 60%. I think they got like 57%. So that didn't get approved. So I didn't look at any, pot stocks and see what's going on there. A few more things here is
smoke pot if you enjoy that. Don't buy pot stocks. That's how you trade that.
Yeah, enjoy
the
it, and then when you're high, pretend you're buying stocks.
Enjoy the flower, not the pink sheets.
Go into your model portfolio and pretend you're buying the stock, like you're actually putting real money behind it. That's what you should do. So also, listen, the Fed. Did anybody know? Fed tomorrow. Are they going to lower rates? Yes, probably by 25 basis points. We'll see. But let's see. A lot of people talk about he's going to dismantle the Fed and all this shit. But, again, every president that's come in is definitely pro-Fed where you want them to lower rates constantly. It's why we rearranged the CPI to make it so we never really have inflation, which blew up in our faces and economists' faces when you have 11 trillion going into the markets that you didn't hand to the banks like in the credit crisis, and they decided to hand out the money or who they were going to hand it out to and what businesses. This was given directly to people and loans, and all of them said it's going to be transitory. It went through the freaking roof. But yeah, that's why we have rental and housing is 35% of the CPI, which makes no fucking sense. It makes sense if you want to keep it kind of stagnant because rentals rarely go up other than those freaking 2 years that they went up tremendously. And now they're still going higher. They're still going up rentals, which is the housing industry too, that you're seeing interest rates rise, the mortgage rates higher. So for you, everyone thinking, oh my God, market's going to surge now that Trump won. The housing market is a massive driver of economic growth in this country. Massive. And right now you have 70%, 80% of people with mortgages that are under 4%. And in order for them to move, they're going to have to move to another place where they're going to pay 7%. So they can't do like the crossover move. It's not like you're upgrading or downsizing. They can't do, hey, I have this type of house and I want to buy a similar house. They can't do it because their mortgage rate's going to go incredibly higher. So you have a market that's almost like frozen. And as long as these interest rates are high, and they're high, that's what the bond market is telling us, don't be so convinced like, hey, stocks are great because Trump won. That's a big drag. That is a very, very big drag, and we need to see that. That's why home builders are getting smacked today. And so we'll see what the Fed does tomorrow, and not so much what they're going to do. Powell's going to lower by 25 basis points. It's mostly factored in, but it's, the commentary, what they're going to say, but I'm interested to see what the bond market does. The bond market, again, we're going to see yields rise on that when it's supposed to go lower, which would be interesting. But when I'm looking at the mortgage rates, they went from 6.7 to 6.85. It wasn't like this major move. But you need rates to come down in order to get that housing market getting that activity because you're not going to see people move back and forth and stuff. Just rates are too high. I mean, people have cash. It's a different story, which is not a big part of the market, but it's interesting to see because the Fed does report tomorrow.
Yeah, the Wizard of Powell is in a tough spot because he is political. Don't listen to him, even though he lies and says he isn't. They cut when markets were at all-time high and housing was all-time high. Inflation wasn't even near their target. For Kamala, now if they don't cut, he opens that can of worms. He's got to cut 25 basis points tomorrow. He's got to stick to his party or his talking points about, paying attention to data. Yeah, if he doesn't cut tomorrow, markets pull back big time.
Yeah, and you're a big fan of Powell, right?
I am. I give him credit when credit is due. He just doesn't deserve a lot. It's easy. This is where your compassion is. I don't feel sorry for these people that go into this. They know exactly what they're doing. They have an agenda. They do the agenda, and then they just lie to you and tell you they give a flying Florida about you. It's not true. Look at the results. This is I need to get my sayings down. Is it Shakespeare? I keep doubting myself. Is it Shakespeare that said the world is a stage and we're all just characters in it? I'm going to have to Google that. I don't want to do it right now, though. I'll keep everybody anticipating.
I could tell you, I hope he keeps Powell. I know it's a surprise. Everyone's like, Frank, what are you talking about? I know our job is to hate. You hate every Federal Reserve chairman, right? It's normal. You hate the freaking guy. I'm okay. You make mistakes. He made a big mistake. Transitory was a huge mistake. After that, how don't you give this guy an A+ with everyone telling him you're freaking crazy? You're absolutely crazy for raising them that high. You remember all that talk? You got to lower them right away. And to see how the markets reacted and kept where they were and see the economy chugging along, and you could argue there's pockets that are not doing that well or whatever, but I don't know who would have did a better job because everyone was telling him to do the opposite of what he's doing for a long time. And I can't picture you right now at this time, even before, yesterday and markets going higher, where you have rates at a level where you're seeing inflation moderate finally. The economy's chugging along at 9 quarters, and I think we have more than 2% growth. So there's a 5% growth there, and I think one of them might have been like 1.9, but very strong growth that you saw. The job market has been very favorable. It's not that you have to attribute all this to him, but it does matter because how do you look at policy? A lot of people say you shouldn't have raised it high as it was, and people are saying you should be cutting a lot more, but where the market is right now, and you're looking at the past year and a half, again, the transitory was really, really bad, and you can't judge a guy on just, one call, and that's fine. But man, I don't know if you could find a person that would have done a better job, because we would have been either much, much higher or much, much lower here. And it seems like we're at the perfect levels compared to where stocks are, the economy is, and things, and the job market, labor market and stuff. Again, it's always tough to get this right because people change, sentiment changes immediately, but it will be interesting to see if it's automatic, he's going to fire the guy or whatever. But man, I would just sit down and have a talk with him first because, again, it's about the country and everything. And I give the guy A+ after that. I really do. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. You can and shit on him. But, man, it could have been a lot worse if you made bigger mistakes where you raise rates even more or if you didn't raise them fast enough. And it seems like it's been perfect based on the market, where the markets is, the bond markets are, everything. It seems like it's been pretty good, although the bond market might be telling us a little differently now. So, other than that, Dane, I think Palantir we'll get to tomorrow. Okay, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Talk about that. Talk about a few stocks tomorrow.
Yeah, great job, man, on that.
I'm going to go into some food stocks, Frank. Fat kid food stocks.
Where did you recommend Palantir in our newsletter, in the Curzio Research Advisory?
We put that in CRA.
You put that
in May. And we're up 120% since May.
Since May on Palantir. What everyone says, it's expensive, you're crazy, whatever. We'll break
down. The stock's making me look a lot smarter than I deserve. However, the one big kicker there, Frank and I were talking about these themes and we were looking at, and the one theme we were on big was when the Fed raised rates, when we got hint that the Fed was going to stop raising rates and the next rate move would be a cut, Frank and I started looking at companies that were not producing earnings and about to, okay? So they've been losing earnings for years and years and years, and that's okay. And as crazy as that sounds, you don't have to produce solid earnings or real earnings if your cash flows are supporting when interest rates are low and investors are just looking at growth. That all changed when interest rates change. Investors transferred from just looking at grow, baby, grow to, okay, grow, but be profitable. Prove that you can stand on your own 2 feet as a business, reward shareholders through buybacks, whatever. That's what caught us onto Palantir. Also, the stock fell below $10. risk really got de-risked then. These guys are the clear leader in AI through government protecting allies. But then they also triggered this to say, listen, we're going to take our amazing services from the government agencies and give them to corporates, bring those on. That's really what's going gangbusters. I'll break down more of that in some of his comments from his conference call. That reading between the lines, there's a Palantir effect across several different companies that we've been following. We talk about with CEOs. They're amazing. It's basically like just the top brand or board that we should put together a list of. But there is a Palantir effect of being first and taking care of your customers. Just old school business, and that's why it's soaring.
Yeah, and we'll dig in more, because when you could have the CEO of pretty much one of the biggest oil companies in the world, which is Chevron, come on without being paid or anything and tell them that their company has been completely transformed due to their technologies and AI and the efficiencies it provides. This is a service that every single company in the world wants, and they're doing it. It's not like, hey, we're going to do this for you. This isn't Snowflake. This isn't Salesforce. Oh, we're going to release these bots and AI. No, these guys have been talking shit the whole time because AI impacts their business directly. A lot of these software companies, right? Even Google, a lot of companies, it impacts. These are guys that come to your company and things get much, much, much better across the defense industry, especially, but now in the consumer industry, which is growing tremendously. Again, we'll cover it a little bit more, but great job by Daniel, up a lot on that stock. And that's another one that everyone's been saying pretty much for the past 2 years, like they said, Tesla for 6 years. It's expensive. It's expensive. It's expensive.
And it is.
You know what? Sometimes you can look at it depending on if you got to put up the growth numbers, and they're putting up the numbers. Okay. And the reason why I'm telling you this is not because I'm a genius, because I got my ass kicked not buying those Netflixes and the Microsoft and 20 years ago and stuff, because people tell me they're expensive. But if you capture the market and you're growing and you have a service that everybody wants, you're looking at Palantir and you could say, you know what? This is actually a cheap stock, because we don't have a lot of competitors here. And every major companies, when they say, oh, we have a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, these are guys that are going to spend tens of millions of dollars because they're going to save an enormous amount of money, and the productivity is going through the roof. And you're seeing clear examples of this when everyone else is talking, we're going to use AI. These guys, they're seeing examples, and companies are coming out and saying, these guys, holy shit, man, it's amazing what they're doing. Anyway, one more note here. There's a company, and it's funny, I'm going to end on this because it's something that no one in the world is going to be talking about today or probably the next couple of days, and I think it's relevant. It's a company called Celanese. I know, you're like, Frank, you freaking kidding me? Celanese is a $12 billion specialty chemical company. They make polymers and used for, waterproofing materials and paints, using electrical application, glues, lubricants, across several industries. The medical industry, it's used for silicone heart valves, artificial nerves. It's a big product used in industries like construction, industrial, massive in automotive. Okay. And these guys are 12 billion and have a lot of very big customers. So they reported earnings, and the miss was one thing, right? They were supposed to report $2.44, $2.85. They reported $2.44. That's a pretty big miss. Their guidance, they were supposed to generate for Q4 $2.93. They cut that to $1.25. The stock fell 30% yesterday. Nobody was paying attention because it's election. I think they reported early yesterday at the open and got annihilated. And you're saying, well, selling these $12 billion special, why is it a big deal? Listen to what they said. For those that you think the economy is great and stocks are going through the roof, pay attention. This is what we pay attention to. They said during the third quarter, Celanese continued to navigate persistent demand weakness across key end markets like paints, coatings, and construction. That's the housing industry, as well as rapid and acute downturns in Western Hemisphere automotive and industrial segments. We expect demand conditions to worsen as automotive and industrial segments react to recent dynamics by seasonally destocking at heavier than normal levels. Guys, if you have stocks in these industries, you better take a look, because they're setting up, and a lot of them are trading higher. If you're looking at industrial companies, maybe, the GM's, it's doing well. They reported a good quarter. Ford, not so much. Yeah, start looking at names within this sector. Sherwin-Williams just went into the Dow Jones. Start looking at these names. What they're telling you, especially within housing, is it's getting extremely, extremely bad. This is a massive, you don't really see a company unless they have adjustments and write-downs or whatever. It was a clean number that they lowered tremendously, and that's why the stock lost 30% of its value in a day. Be careful in these sectors, because if you own stocks and they're up tremendously and expectations are high and they miss numbers, or they come out in the middle of quarters and say, hey, we're going to lower our estimates, you're going to see 20, 25% declines in many of these stocks. It's a very dangerous market out there. Be careful. This should be talked to even more, and nobody's mentioning this. These guys are a very big company in a lot of different industries and have very, very big clients, and they're saying those clients are cutting back tremendously, and that's something I'm not hearing. we just started here in the auto industry. We warned you about that, but you're going to start hearing it in industrials, construction, and things like that, especially with interest rates going higher, which is usually not good for that industry. So pretty crazy. I thought that was fascinating. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I like chemical companies. It's good to, they're definitely important to watch. So that's good stuff.
All right,
Good
guys.
data.
So really great stuff. Congratulations to President Donald Trump. Looks like, they have the Senate. We'll see about the House, and we'll see probably by our next podcast, maybe a podcast after, we'll see Arizona and Nevada probably report their numbers, hopefully, and count the votes. We'll see if that happens in time. But anyway, congratulations. Pretty good stuff. And, tomorrow's going to be really big for Wall Street Unplugged Premium. And also, I got to give you great news on that product. So Wall Street Unplugged Premium, that is our premium podcast. And we tape it every Thursday, Daniel and I. And we really dig deep. We talked about different sectors and mentioned stocks. We really dig in deep to a lot of names. Probably, I would say, at least 10, 15 names we'll mention, and a lot of them are in the news and what's going on. We'll have different opinions. We have access to all the research reports, who's saying what on them. We're really digging deep to these things. It's at least an hour podcast. And we charge $10 a month for this service, a service that our competitors, because we also have a newsletter attached to it, which is a trading newsletter where we have recommendations pretty much every week or almost every week. It's a service that our competitors charge over $250 a month for in terms of being a trading service. We're charging $10 a month, just for the podcast, and also that newsletter comes attached to it. It's one of the biggest discounts. It's one of the best products that we have. Subscribers used to only have access to this product through our platform, which made it a little bit of a pain in the ass. However, we're now going to offer this product. We're going to put it on iTunes. So you can subscribe through iTunes, Spotify, any way you can download a podcast. Guys, I'm just going to go over several names. Okay. A few names. A lot of them are doing extremely well. The market's high. We have stop losses on these things, and we take a few losses here and there. But overall, just these are some of the things that you could see in this portfolio, and it's really dead on because we're talking about stuff that's going on in the markets right now, and stocks that are reporting, and really being able to go in instead of waiting every month for a new pick and stuff in some of our other newsletters. 54% profits in Netflix from January to October. I mean, this is just this year. Cameco 36%, a few months, February to October. Tesla 47% gains. Hims and Hers, Daniel, great job on that. August to October, 56% gains. Veritiv, another one of his picks, up 130%. AVAV, we traded this one, we're up 48%. If you're a Curzio Venture Opportunity member, that company's in our portfolio. That's a 750% winner for us. Okay, and that's since 2017. It's a name that I usually don't have the names in small caps that long, but that one is just drone maker, Ukraine kick in, and constant. I mean, just the positive news flow in the business is just booming for that. And I think it's going to continue to go higher. You'll see Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 12%. We have, gold recommended up 11%. So you could see, cryptos in there, anything that we see within the markets. And it's a fantastic product. Almost everyone that subscribes, because I talk to a lot of these people who invested in our company in this round, where we just raised money, and we're closing out on Friday, by the way. And almost everyone I spoke to face-to-face who wanted to talk to me and stuff, probably about 50 to 70 investors or so, every one of them were like, this is the best product. This is great. This is awesome. So it's going to be available on iTunes. It's only $10 a month, guy, which is nothing. I mean, you subscribe for a year, and that covers your gas probably for a month. If you hate it, you could cancel it, a month later, and it's $10. But overall, this is one of our best products that we have on the company. We are going to be marketing it heavily. We're very proud of that. We do a good job in it. And if you guys are interested, let me know. So you can go to our website to subscribe, or you can subscribe. It's going to be on iTunes, going to be on Spotify and everything, which, we're really, really happy about. So it's going to have a much, much bigger reach now instead of just being able to subscribe to our platform and us emailing you and everything. So it's going to be really, really cool. I'm looking forward to it. So guys, anyone wants to subscribe, again, you can email me, frankcurzioresearch.com or whatever. Subscribe to our website, and it's going to be on iTunes and Spotify. So Daniel, an hour and 7 minutes we're in. A lot to talk about today. So other than that, any parting words? And don't say no. You can't say no.
Negative.
Okay, that's a better word. Anyone get to touch you? Email?
Cheers. We'll see you tomorrow. Daniel at CurzioResearch.com.
Frank, CurzioResearch.com. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Definitely subscribe. Awesome. We're going to have lots of ideas, break down a lot of stocks that are moving tremendously today. Pretty cool stuff. We'll see you then. Take care. Love this episode of Wall Street Unplugged? I think you'll really love Wall Street Unplugged Premium. The Wall Street Unplugged Premium is my members-only podcast where I dive even deeper into this week's events. Well, I'll do even more than tell you what's moving these markets. I'll tell you specifically what moves you can make today. So this is going to be about trading. Put big money in your pocket right away due to the inconsistencies I see daily in the market. I'm talking about specific investment ideas I'm recommending and tracking each week that I believe will be impacted directly by everything I just talked about today. Plus, you're going to get the chance to go even further down the rabbit hole with me and my co-host, who's Daniel Creech, as we discuss which of these week's trends could turn into massive windfalls. Could the big trends that we see lurking on the horizon, also the news we're picking up from our network of insiders, which has gotten bigger and bigger thanks to you and so many people listening to this podcast in over 100 countries. And you get a chance to talk to me directly in my special Ask Me Anything Q&A session. All of that and a lot more, like premium interviews with world leaders in finance, technology, industry, and politics. This is all part of Wall Street Unplugged Premium. And becoming a member is super simple and super cheap. So head on over to WSUoffer.com to check it all out. Sign up today and you won't miss a thing. That's WSUoffer.com.
Wall Street Unplugged is produced by Curzio Research, one of the most respected financial media companies in the industry. The information presented on Wall Street Unplugged is the opinion of its host and guests. You should not base your investment decisions solely on this broadcast. Remember, it's your money and your responsibility.